A lion delivers a decisive strike that sends a wave of tension through the entire wild. Even the fastest prey loses its edge, while the most numerous predators fall into sudden disorder. Its power lies not only in muscle, but in the ability to control the rhythm of life itself. Who will be the last to remain when this pressure sweeps across the land? Under the intense sunlight of the savanna, the lion stands as a symbol of dominant power. The male, with a solid, muscular build, uses his unmatched strength to maintain control of the territory. Its advantage lies in stealth, patience, and the ability to act with precision at the right moment. Within the tall grass, a single decisive approach can shift the direction of an entire herd. Beyond hunting and defending territory, this predator shapes the very rhythm of survival across the plains. Across the vast plains of southern Serengeti, a pack of African wild dogs moves quietly as it patrols its territory. Each member weighs only around 60 pounds, yet strict discipline allows them to sustain a steady hunting pace over long distances. Through precise coordination, their success rate reaches up to about 80%, an impressive figure in the wild. However, that efficiency is immediately tested when the presence of a formidable rival emerges. A solitary male lion can scatter the entire pack with a single powerful advance. Fully aware of the risk, the wild dogs keep their distance and observe, avoiding direct confrontation. The encounter becomes a clear display of position between two forces of the savanna. With a muscular build nearly 7 times heavier than a single wild dog, the proud ruler of the plains typically holds the advantage in such meetings. Yet the situation can shift when the focus turns to a lioness accompanied by her cubs. In this moment, her objective is not to assert dominance, but to ensure the safety of the next generation. Using their strength in numbers, the pack launches a series of quick feints while releasing rapid alarm calls. The continuous pressure forces the lioness to pivot defensively before choosing to withdraw and preserve her strength. The encounter fades into the dust of the savanna, leaving behind a lesson in survival shaped by strategy and mutual respect. Lions and hyenas are long-standing rivals across the savanna. Conflicts often arise around food sources or territory where survival interests are directly at stake. When a food source appears, the line between hunter and competitor quickly fades. After a hunt in Masai Mara, a group of lionesses stands over a recently secured meal. The scent of food draws in a clan of hyenas, surrounding them and applying pressure through sheer numbers. As the ratio reaches around 4 hyenas for each lion, they tighten the circle, gradually forcing their opponents to give ground. The space under control quickly shrinks as the balance shifts toward the hyenas. At a critical moment, a male lion weighing over 400 pounds arrives, charging in and breaking the hyena's formation with overwhelming force. The clan scatters, allowing the lion to regain control of the food and continue pushing back isolated individuals to reinforce his position. In another situation in Ngorongoro, a young male lion unintentionally enters the core area of a hyena den. The clan rapidly gathers, nearly 80 members, to defend their territory. Under mountain pressure, the young lion responds while stepping back in measured movements, maintaining a safe distance. Aware that his mane is not yet thick enough to protect his neck, he balances defense with steady retreat. In this world, survival is shaped by understanding limits and choosing the right moment. From an evolutionary perspective, the cheetah is a masterpiece of mechanics on the open plains. With a lightweight frame of around 120 pounds, combined with the ability to accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour, it dominates short-distance chases. However, after each burst of speed, its body temperature rises rapidly to a critical threshold, forcing it to stop and recover. That brief moment makes it far more exposed. A male lion can seize the opportunity, closing in from a short distance and applying sudden pressure. When faced with such a difference in size and strength, the cheetah's speed alone is no longer enough to maintain an advantage. Recognizing this, it chooses to avoid confrontation and abandons its prey to ensure its safety. If it cannot create distance in time, the risk of being overpowered becomes significant. Nature allows no room for error. For this reason, the cheetah survives by maintaining constant awareness with every breath. After a successful hunt, it must feed quickly, then withdraw before the presence of larger predators closes in. In the wild, the leopard stands as one of the most adaptable and well-camouflaged big cats. With a powerful build of around 130 pounds, it is a highly effective solitary hunter. Its strength allows it to carry prey heavier than its own body up into tree branches, protecting its meal from larger competitors. However, across sunlit grasslands, limited visibility always brings the risk of a sudden shift in the balance of survival. When a leopard becomes momentarily exposed while stalking prey, a lioness can surge forward from behind with unexpected speed. Sensing the pressure, the leopard immediately accelerates beyond 35 miles per hour, launching itself up the nearest acacia tree to escape within seconds. In other situations, the scent and sounds around a recent hunt can quickly draw lions to the scene. If the prey remains near the base of the tree or is lifted only a short distance, the leopard often abandons its meal to avoid a direct encounter. Within the core of their territory, lion patrols reinforce the natural order against any intrusion. The overwhelming presence of the dominant force on the savanna can instantly halt the chances of escape for those competing for resources. It is a defining rule that shapes boundaries and preserves space for future generations. The African buffalo stands firm like a massive wall of muscle, weighing close to 1,500 pounds, armed with powerful curved horns. Although every approach carries serious risk, a pride of lions still accepts the challenge for the immense energy this prey provides. In fact, encounters with this formidable animal make up a significant part of an adult lion's life. The confrontation begins as the predators form an encirclement, targeting an individual separated from the herd. Yet the buffalo holds its ground, lowering its center of gravity and using its horns to control distance. When alarm calls echo across the plains, the herd turns back, forming a solid defensive wall to protect one of their own. That surge of collective force pushes the lions to withdraw, at times even forcing them to seek safety in higher ground. Even so, the standoff is not over as the lions choose to remain persistent. They maintain a strategy of endurance, applying steady pressure and surrounding the buffalo over the course of several hours. Once the massive defense is finally overcome, the abundant resource can sustain the pride for days to come. In the wild, strength does not belong to a single individual alone. It is built through unity, where those who stand together are able to hold their ground. A lion's adulthood does not begin with a hunt, but with the day it must leave the place where it was born. Young males separate from the pride after their early years, entering a period of wandering across the vast savanna. From that moment on, the environment is no longer a refuge, but a test of endurance, patience, and the ability to cooperate with allies. Most male lions form coalitions of 2 to 4 individuals, patrolling territories that can extend up to around 100 square miles. They mark their range through scent and far-reaching roars, establishing a clear presence. When 2 coalitions meet, the outcome often favors the group that maintains stronger formation and coordination. The defeated withdraw, while the winners gain control of prey, shelter, and opportunities to reproduce. Meanwhile, lionesses maintain the stability of the pride by protecting their cubs and sustaining a reliable food source. When risk increases, they spread out, conceal the young in tall grass, and move with flexibility. At the same time, hunting must continue to support the entire pride within contested territory. The peak period of a coalition typically lasts around 3 years. Across the open savanna, the rise of a dominant leader is measured by the marks of territory, where strength defines position at the top. The first surge leaves no time for prey or rivals to change direction. The burst of speed is so sudden that the icy expanse seems to tighten instantly. The polar bear charges forward, channeling its massive weight into each stride across the snow. The question is, when the dominant force closes in, who can still hold on to a path of retreat? Across wind-swept corridors of ice, an encounter between Arctic wolves and a polar bear does not begin with a direct clash. It starts with a cold assessment, where even the smallest movement can shift the balance. The wolf pack quietly spreads out across the snow, reading the wind and maintaining a safe distance from the massive figure. An adult weighs only around 120 pounds, so the group relies on discipline rather than individual strength. Tension builds as a few move closer to test the response, waiting for signs of fatigue to appear. In the end, the bear makes a measured decision to leave, allowing the remaining energy to go to those willing to wait. In the harsh ice desert, both sides establish an invisible line of compromise to conserve energy, where the one that endures is always the one that understands how to manage risk. The beluga whale is one of the most recognizable residents of the Arctic seas. An adult can weigh over 3,000 pounds, with almost no dorsal fin, allowing it to move easily beneath layers of sea ice. A layer of blubber about 4 inches thick helps retain heat in freezing waters. Yet even these adaptations do not fully remove the risk when a polar bear appears. In summer, as sea ice shrinks and access to seals becomes more limited, the polar bear may shift its attention to beluga pods, moving into shallow waters. It waits on low coastal rocks, observing the group's swimming patterns. Only when a younger individual drifts out of formation does the pace increase. The bear moves off the rocks, using the short distance to narrow the escape route. Even so, most belugas maintain the advantage in the water. The situation changes completely in winter, when fast-forming ice can trap the pod. A small opening in the ice, sometimes just a few feet wide, becomes the only breathing point, as they can hold their breath for about 30 minutes. The polar bear follows these signs, waiting patiently at the ice edge and closing in the moment a whale surfaces. The Arctic then returns to its natural stillness. At the top of this world, survival depends not only on strength, but on the ability to adapt through strategy under the harsh rules of energy in nature. Solitude has long been a survival shield for polar bears. However, as sea ice melts rapidly and resources decline, the boundary of coexistence begins to break down. Encounters between individuals now become intense tests of instinct. This is when they are forced into direct confrontation. The greatest threat emerges when a massive male, weighing around 1,200 pounds, actively pursues cubs. To protect the next generation, the mother quickly guides them into rugged ice terrain for cover. Through firm warning calls and a steady stance, she maintains distance with determination. The intruder is often forced to withdraw and wait for another chance. Around large food sources washed ashore, a temporary order takes shape. Dominant males take the most favorable positions, while younger bears observe from the outer edge. An upright posture, deep vocal signals, and short forward steps send clear messages. Most encounters end when one side yields space, avoiding unnecessary energy loss. During the breeding season, competition between males becomes more evident. They use their forelimbs, shoulder strength, and body weight to test one another in brief encounters. The goal is to establish advantage, not to prolong the clash. When one recognizes the shift in balance, it leaves the contested ice. Because knowing when to stop at the right moment is the highest form of intelligence. The Arctic, a realm of ice, is home to 6 species of seals. Among them, ringed seals and bearded seals are key food sources for the polar bear. Facing a predator that can weigh around 1,000 pounds, seals still rely on streamlined bodies and highly responsive reflexes in the water. In this world, every small advantage can shape survival. Ambushes often unfold at breathing holes in the thick ice. The polar bear uses its acute sense of smell, standing motionless for hours like a sculpture carved from ice. When a seal surfaces for air, the pace shifts instantly. The bear uses position, weight, and surprise to gain an edge, leaving little time for the target to change direction. When seals climb onto drifting ice to rest or absorb sunlight, the polar bear shifts its approach. It slips beneath the freezing water, revealing only the tip of its nose to observe and breathe. As the distance closes to just a few feet, the powerful body surges upward from below. The seal reacts at once, turning toward deeper water and relying on swimming speed to find an escape route. But even a brief lapse in awareness can shift the balance. This frozen exchange ends with a demanding level of hunting efficiency. In many situations, an adult polar bear succeeds less than 10% of the time. That reality forces the Arctic predator to observe carefully, conserve energy, and rely on strategy to maintain its position. As summer pushes sea ice farther away, the polar bear lowers its expectations to smaller energy sources to stay alive. Along rocky coastal islands, it moves slowly, following warm air currents to locate exposed eggs and unattended chicks. These are brief opportunities before entire bird colonies take flight and leave their nesting grounds. Farther out, in shallow river mouths only a few feet deep, Arctic char begin moving upstream through narrow channels. The polar bear stands still in the current, focused on the water's surface until a flicker appears near its feet. In a single motion, a precise sweep of its powerful forelimbs secures the fish before it can slip away. Yet eggs and fish cannot replace seals, a food source that can provide over 100,000 calories. These smaller opportunities serve only as a holding strategy, helping maintain strength through a season of scarcity. Then, when winter returns and sea ice forms again, the journey continues across the Arctic alongside the next generation. As sea ice retreats and time on land grows longer, the polar bear is forced inland, facing a completely different challenge across the open tundra. Here, one of its most energy-rich targets is the caribou. An adult weighs around 400 pounds, much lighter than the bear, yet equipped with strong endurance and bursts of speed, reaching about 50 miles per hour. Because of that, the bear's approach relies on extreme caution, using wind direction to reduce its scent. The clearest opportunity often comes when herds cross shallow channels, where younger individuals move slightly slower than the group. That is when the bear shifts from tracking to direct pressure, accelerating to create a brief disruption that breaks the formation within seconds. Moments later, the hunter drives a full-grown target into cold, deeper water. In that environment, the caribou's speed advantage fades against the bear's powerful swimming reach, moving like broad paddles. The distance closes gradually. Each time the caribou lifts its head for air, its rhythm falters slightly. The encounter ends as the bear pulls a heavy prize from the water's edge, securing vital energy. On the Arctic shoreline, a herd of walruses forms a defensive ring. An adult male can weigh around 3,700 pounds, with tusks reaching nearly 3 feet in length. These tusks help them maintain distance from any threat. Facing that scale, the polar bear understands that raw strength alone is not the answer. It remains on the outer edge instead of moving into the center. With each shift in the group, the bear reads direction, spacing between individuals, and the position of the young. Every choice considers energy, risk, and timing. A rushed decision can close the opportunity entirely. As the herd begins to move closer to the water's edge, the pace suddenly rises. The polar bear steps in to test the group's response. Massive bodies shift direction, disrupting the formation and creating brief openings along the edge. In those moments, younger individuals may drift away from the protective circle, allowing a narrow chance for the bear to approach. However, adult walruses can quickly close ranks, forming a solid barrier with their tusks. At that point, the polar bear steps back, as its opportunity is already very limited. As evening falls, the lion returns to a quieter rhythm across the vast savanna. Though the encounter has passed, the presence of a top predator lingers in the awareness of the herd. Its role helps maintain the balance that keeps the wild in steady motion. Across the open grasslands, the rhythm of survival continues beneath the African sky. Press like and subscribe to explore more remarkable stories of survival in the natural world.